Thanks to those joining me live and to those that'll be joining me on archive. D-Style Boxing here. Yes, yet another Bret Hart video. Let me tell you something. I am on a mission. And if you're new, you can always go back. There's other videos I have of Bret Hart on here. I'll probably make a playlist for this for sure. You know what I mean? I think a playlist is necessary. Um, and I really don't have any other reason to do this other than I can. Um, I'm watching some boxing as we speak while I'm doing this video. So, hey, I'll talk some boxing later on, man. So, shout out to Bret the Hitman Hart, my favorite wrestler of all time. Right? I'm not saying he's above criticism. Nobody is. But at the end of the day, I do believe a lot of people go a little too far talking about the Hitman. Right? So I want to talk a little bit here. I will do other videos that have nothing to do with Bret Hart, obviously, regarding wrestling. So stay on the lookout for that one. You get your binoculars out and stay on the lookout for them. They're out there somewhere. A-Rod 83 Boxeo, how you doing? The Bam Bam Bigelow of HCP. How's it going, brother? Lifting the logs and shit. Or you want to be the Vader, bro? Are you Vader time? Or you want to be Bam Bam? I don't know. But look. I have some stuff here. Okay? And we're going to talk about it. Okay? No Sharpie today, by the way. LT, how's it going? LT's like what's LT? Like the 1-2-3 kid of HCP, bro. That's LT, bro. You're like the 1-2-3 kid, brother. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's move on. But check it out. We're here. I'm watching some boxing. I'm kicking back, and we're going to talk about some Bret Hart here. Wrestlers trash and tried to bury Bret Hart. Look at that. I did not spell that right. Look at that. Unbelievable. Okay. I forgot the T, brother. I forgot the T. All right, there we go. Let's talk about it, Let's talk about it. Sid, Psycho Sid, bro. Sid Justice, brother. What's going on? Hey, yo, what's man in water? Hey, I have Scott Hall. Scott Hall talks some shit, too. We're going to talk about it. All right? The Beast from the East, Bam Bam Bill. Joe Lopez. What is Joe Lopez? Joe Lopez is like the... What's Joe Lopez? Joe Lopez is like... I'm thinking wrestling in the 90s, by the way. Joe Lopez is like the Owen Hart. You're like the Owen Hart, brother, of ATP. You know what I mean? You're like your Owen Hart, just don't get on the, anyway. Just don't steal my slammy. All right. Anyway, check it out. All right. Tattoos on your head, A-Rod. Hey, there you go, bro. You gotta go for an intimidating look, Just don't wrestle a football player, A-Rod. All right? Like, you're gonna lose. But look, let's talk about Sid Vicious. Well, what did Sid Vicious say about Bret Hart? Now, Sid, Psycho Sid, as he was known during the time that he was in WWF in 96, 97, right? Became, I believe, a 2-time world champion. Like, he was a WWE champion twice. He beat once Shawn Michaels and once Bret Hart for the title, actually. So there you go. And he got a hell of a push. Just keep that in mind. I'm mentioning this for a reason. Okay, I'm telling you the push he got, like what he was doing and all that. Okay, he headlined WrestleMania 13 with The Undertaker. All right. Quote, he couldn't sell out a high school stadium. He's talking about Bret Hart. According to Sid, and I will play the clips in there, but I don't want to get copyrighted, so that's why I'm not playing them, okay? All right? And you totally cannot see that. You all know what I'm talking about. Okay, but we're going to move on. All right? It's a reflection. It is what it is. He couldn't sell out a high school stadium. I agree, man and water. They are. He also said there was a time where HBK, Shawn Michaels, and I had to do a triple threat with Bret Hart, and he was lost. Like he didn't know what he was doing. Right. How's that leg, Sid? That leg you broke? Remember you broke your ankle, Sid, in a wrestling match? But you know what you're doing around the ring, right? This dude broke his own ankle, okay? Because it's a good idea to get on the top rope and do a big boot off the top rope. He's 7 feet tall. You land on your foot. What do you think is going to happen? But anyway, let's address this. Let's address this blasphemy by Cycle Sid. Okay? The insinuation is they put the belt on Bret. They couldn't make money. He couldn't even sell out high school gymnasiums with Bret Hart. It's all Bret Hart's fault. I know you're not talking about 96. I know you're not talking about part of 97 when you were there, Sid, because you were the champion. And you were headlining at those times, okay? I know you're not talking about Shawn Michaels, who had the lowest buy rate ever, along with Vader, at SummerSlam. I know you're not talking about that. Right? I know you're not talking about the main event of WrestleMania that you botched and that sucked. 2 WrestleManias that you were put in the main event of, one with Hulk Hogan and one with The Undertaker. And they sucked. Are we going to blame Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker? Or is there a common denominator? I know you're not talking about WWE losing the ratings war to WCW on your watch and on Michaels' watch. I know you're not talking about that, Sid. Oh, I know you're not. Right? I know you're not an attraction like that. We know you're not. Because you bombed in the WrestleMania 8 era, and you bombed in the WrestleMania post WrestleMania 12 and pre WrestleMania 13 era. You bombed, brother. You weren't a big attraction like that. People weren't showing up in droves to watch you. You weren't a difference maker in that era. Why are you even talking, dude? Where I've actually done my research on this, and I can look up Bret Hart's segments. There was always a spike when Bret Hart was on. Okay? In fact, after WrestleMania 13, the only segment that beat WCW in the ratings was when Bret Hart was on TV. Okay? Period. When he was on WCW, there was a rating spike when he was on TV, right? There was no spikes when Cycle Sid was on TV, or Sid Justice, or Sid Vicious. There was no spike. Nobody cared. Kaka TV, how you doing, brother? How you doing? We're not going to be talking about Jinder Mahal in this one, but you could always come back, brother. Let's go to Vader. Let's go to Vader. Big Bad Vader. I wasn't impressed. He was just basic, he said. He said, when I saw Michaels, when I saw, when I saw Michaels and when I saw Sting, like I could tell why they were big stars. But Bret, I just didn't. He was just basic, He couldn't adapt, he said. Let me tell you something. In the same interview, Vader said he couldn't adapt to the WWE style. he was buried by Shawn Michaels because he was being too stiff with HBK. He's being too stiff now with HBK now, right? That's the dude that buried you, Vader. That's the guy that buried you, dude. Shawn Michaels. He's the one that went and blamed you for being stiff and dangerous in the ring, brother. And you said you couldn't adapt to that. So who are you to say anything about Bret not adapting? He never had great matches. Like he said, Bret never had a great match. I'll take that back. He actually said it's not like he wasn't capable of having a great match, but I just don't think he was that great. Well, that's what wrestlers do. They have great matches. Well, what do you mean? Now, I like Vader. I do. Vader's a cool dude. You know, I don't mind Vader at all. And I want to know what you guys think. Is Vader right? Like, he just wasn't impressed with Bret. Well, what do you want out of Bret? Like, I just don't understand what he wanted Bret to do to impress him. You know what I mean? You know, Vader was a little stiff. He had that style from Japan and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you weren't impressed. You know, let's go over the guys that were impressed by Bret. Stone Cold Steve Austin's impressed by Bret Hart. He says his best match of all time was with Bret. He gives Bret credit, all the credit in the world, for helping that Stone Cold character develop to what it was after WrestleMania 13. I want to know what you guys think. What do you think? Is Vader right? Whose word holds more value, Stone Cold or Vader? Stone Cold or Sid? You tell me. The 1-2-3 Kid said his best match ever, his favorite singles match of all time, was with Bret. And that Bret, you know, and we're going to touch on him later, so let's hold up on him. Even Shawn Michaels says some of his favorite matches of all time were with Bret Hart. With Bret! Yeah, Sting. That's right. Hey, shout out to Sting. I got TV. Everybody subscribe to a Kaka TV. Look. So that's Vader. Vader could blame a lot of people, but he can't blame Bret Hart for his failure in WWE. If he's going to blame anybody, it should be Shawn Michaels, okay, for burying him. And the fact is, you just didn't sell, brother. Your main event with Shawn Michaels at SummerSlam, I believe to this day, is the lowest selling SummerSlam of all time. You didn't crack 200,000 buys. I know today, like maybe if you were with PBC, that would be a hit, but you weren't. You were with WWF at the time. Okay? Just saying. It ain't nobody's fault you didn't sell, brother. Vader blames it on everybody. Oh, it was because we were doing house shows and stop. Okay? Just stop. You didn't sell because you didn't sell, and that's it. Stop making excuses as to why you didn't sell. All right? Let's go with Hall. Scott Hall. Going down the list, ladies and gentlemen. Scott Hall. What's going on? Yeah, 1-2-3 Kid, a.k.a. 6-pack, a.k.a. 6. Yeah, absolutely. But it was with a Y. 6 with a Y. All right? He just took himself too serious, man. Look, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Bret Hart took himself too serious. Yes, he did. He also said Bret just was worried about making himself look good, making the Hitman look good, not making his opponents look good. Right? Kind of like how you make the cruiserweights in WCW look good when you just buried them and hit them with your finisher and kicked them all out of the ring like that, or like how? How is Bret supposed to make people look good, Scott Hall? How is he supposed to do that? Exactly. He made you look good at the Royal Rumble main event. Like the way 1, 2, 3 Kid says, Bret really put him over by being champion and making him go to the limit. Something like that. Like, what do you mean, Hall? What do you mean, Razor Ramon? What's up, Joshua Clark? What's up, brother? Razor Ramon? What do you mean? Bad guy? What you mean, Holmes? What do you mean he took himself? So first of all, first of all, let me just address he only wanted to make himself look good statement, okay? If you're a professional wrestler, of course you want to make yourself look good, okay? That's the dumbest statement I ever heard in my life. All right, that's number one. Of course you do that. And then the whole he took himself too serious. I know another one that said this before is Triple H, and you need people like me. That's right. Brother. All your friends took this is my problem. My problem is not keeping the same energy, not staying consistent. Okay? You never hear, all right? You never hear Razor Ramon, okay, call out anybody. Like of his friends, HBK, Triple H. I mean, all these motherfuckers be throwing stones in glass houses, okay? All these guys, all of them, like Kevin Nash even, took themselves serious, okay? Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. There's this thing that Scott Hall has where he likes to be like that guy that, like, I knew the thing wasn't real all along, but some of these guys acted like it was real. Like, I didn't care. I didn't care about being champion, Holmes. Like, brother, you were over. You were already making money. Okay? Like, you personally not wanting to be champion, well, that's on you, bro. Okay? That's on you. But here's the deal. Takes himself too serious. And this is a thing about Bret that annoys me about people, right? What do you want him to, like, not take himself serious? Is that what you want or what? You want guys that go out and do things to not take it serious? You don't think actors take what they do serious? You know, you don't think that they take their craft serious? What's wrong with taking it serious? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with being obsessed with doing whatever you do? You want to be good at it. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that, Scott? What about all the tantrums your boy Shawn Michaels always put on? Sometimes live on camera. But what about that? In the middle of a match, like screaming at Vader because he forgot a spot and shit. What about shit like that? Oh, Bret took himself too serious. I mean, he didn't want to put Shawn over at Survivor Series. Okay, what about you motherfuckers? Wouldn't put people over in WCW and controlled everything over there. And had a clique, all right? And worked with just your friends and just put your friends over. What about that shit? What about that bullshit? What about Hulk Hogan? Your friend Hulk, who had creative control clauses that if he chose, he didn't have to put somebody over, he wouldn't do it. What about that? What about that? LT says he's the Razor Ramon of HCP. Brother, I already told you, brother, you're the, who is he again? You're the 1, 2, 3 Kid, brother. It's a good move. You know what I mean? It's a good. Scott Hall tells a story about how he went to Bret's house, right? And it says, hey, it was nice of Bret to invite the boys over for a cookout, and he fed us and showed great hospitality to us, and even let me go in his home to check it out. Oh no, that's not what he said. No, that's not. You know, instead he started to make fun of him because he had some like pictures of himself on the wall or something. I don't know. I've never been to Bret's house. Okay. But like, bro, like, why do you have the need to say shit like that? What the fuck do you care, bro? It's not your house. All right? Like, it isn't your house, brother. Like, someone doesn't invite you to their casa and then you like trash them like that, bro. Who's taking himself serious? You are. Okay? You're taking yourself serious, Scott Hall. Let's talk about Flair. Speaking of guys that take themselves too serious, I mean, you know, Flair's one of them. You know, he couldn't draw. Here's another guy saying Bret couldn't draw. Look, when Bret Hart became champion, okay, the buys were still good, okay, and the attendance was still good. Period. I don't get where people get a lot of this shit that Bret couldn't draw. I don't know where they get it from. Now, is he an all-time like if you compare him to Hogan, of course he wasn't that big of a draw. But nobody was. Okay? Nobody was. That's just not true. We'll have to do a very detailed video explaining why that's not true. He also says that Vince couldn't wait to get the title off. He couldn't wait to get the title off of him. Okay? That's bullshit. All right? That's what that is. That's all bullshit, ladies and gentlemen. All right? Couldn't wait to get the title off of him. Can't be serious. Then why did you give him the belt 5 times, bro? If it's true that whatever you're saying, right, that they couldn't wait, then why did they give him the title 5 times? Every time Vince tried somebody else, they failed and he had to put the belt back on Bret. That's the fact, okay? Flair was going to leave. They put the belt on Bret. He runs with it for a while, and then they take the belt off of him. They put it on Diesel. How'd that work out? They gave the belt to Diesel for a whole fucking year. How'd that work out? 94 was the worst year in history when Diesel was a champion. How did that work out? They put the belt back on Bret. Guess what? Business goes back up. They take the belt off of Bret. They give it to Shawn. What happens? Business goes to shit. Doesn't sell shit. That's just the truth. So they put it back on Bret. And then they give it to Sid and Taker. And they got to give it back to Bret. Why? Because business was not trending the right way. Man in Water says Nash is one of those guys that is always talking about who could draw, but he's one of those, the most boring of all time. Kevin Nash is the worst champion, especially, I mean, look, obviously WWF has been so horrible in the last few years that, of course, we've had worse champions than Kevin Nash at this point. You know what I mean? Like, I haven't sat down and watched a wrestling show. Like, I'm just going to be very frank with you guys. I haven't sat down and watched a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown in its entirety since, like, when they gave the belt to Jinder Mahal. Like, I was like, okay, that's it. How the fuck is this dude a jobber for 5 straight years and then overnight is a champion? Made no sense. Okay? Made no sense. What's going on, Brian? Let me know what you want on, brother. So made no sense whatsoever. Right? Kevin Nash is the worst draw ever. Like, but in those days, think about it. You went from the Hogans to the Macho Man to the Flairs to the Bret Harts, right? Bob Backlund became a champion, but remember, Bob Backlund was already a champion before, like after Bruno, right? Like they gave the belt to Diesel, and it was horrible. Business was horrible under Diesel. So I don't know. I don't even know why Nash runs his mouth. To be honest with you, I have no idea why Nash runs his mouth. Okay, but anyway, Hogan. I want everybody to use their common sense. Okay, if you're Vince McMahon and Hogan is going to leave your company, the guy that you did Hulkamania with and all that, right? Just use your common sense. And everybody wants on, I'll throw a link out, by the way. Use your common sense. What's going on, Boxing Dialogue? Would you want Bret Hart to beat Hogan? Or would you want Yokozuna to beat Hogan on the way out? Now, they had SummerSlam posters already of Bret versus Hogan. Okay? And it was already being reported at the time that Hogan, okay, like, they didn't want to put Bret over because he felt he was too small and all that. You know what I mean? Now, nowadays, Bret's actually above average height for a lot of these guys. You know what I mean? Like, he's bigger than like AJ Styles, but that was just a sign of the times. So it is what it is. Like, he didn't want to put Bret over. But he swears up and down, like, no, I did what Vince wanted me to do. Okay? Vince wanted me to put over Yokozuna. Like, come on, brother. Ain't nobody believing that. Okay? Like nobody believes that. That's what he had to settle for. But you don't want to pass the torch saying, you know, you didn't, brother. All right? But anyway, Hogan says he couldn't wait to work with Bret Hart. I swear to God, and I have a whole video about this, by the way, but I just wanted to mention this one. I couldn't wait to work with Bret, but he was just having these problems. Like he had like a seizure or something. He just wasn't the same anymore. Brother, like the seizure was like in like the year 2000 when WCW was already out of business. Like his injury started when Goldberg kicked his head off like 2 years after his debut. What are you talking about? Like the dude's a liar, bro. And then he criticized Bret, and I quote, he didn't want to do a job in Montreal? What, did he think this thing is real or what? Like, whoa. What? We're talking about Hulk Hogan, guys. All right? There's been multiple times, multiple stories when Hogan was supposed to put somebody over, okay? And he used his creative control to not do it. All the way back to the 80s in WCW. And even when he came back, he wouldn't put over a young Randy Orton, bro. Like, come on. What does it do for me, brother? Like, you know what I mean? Come on now. The Messenger. Finally, Honky Tonk Man. Let's talk about the Honky Tonk Man. You guys remember the Honky Tonk Man? Boxing Historian, you remember the Honky Tonk Man? Man and Water, Boxing Dialogue? Any of you guys? The Honky Tonk Man? The Honky Tonk Man. Let me tell you something about the Honky Tonk Man. So Bret one time made a statement saying, like, I just wish the Honky Tonk Man was a little more stiff, right? That like his stuff were a little too hokey. Like, you know what I mean? Like he would throw a punch and like a work punch, and like he wouldn't even like, it would be like this far away from the face. Like, you know what I mean? So it's whatever. And the guy goes in an interview. Well, you got to work with somebody stiff. You got to work with Goldberg. How'd that work out, Bret? Like, like, goddamn, bro. Goddamn, this brother. You didn't mix much with the honky tonk man, but you didn't mess. Chief Funk is the honky tonk man of HCP because he plays the guitar. You know what I mean? Anyway. Oh man. It's true. Like the guys that talk the most never drew shit. Like Flair. Look, Flair was big in the 70s, but the reality is he wasn't shit, bro. Like they brought him to WWF. He was not drawing. He wasn't bringing in money like that. That's why they didn't renew his contract or anything. Him and Hogan were touring, and the ticket sales weren't that good, which is why we didn't get Flair Hogan at WrestleMania. That's just the truth. Hey, Brian, I need to talk to you about, if you're free, brother, I need to talk to you about ECW, because I think ECW was bad for wrestling. It hurt wrestling. Like I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Okay? Ain't nobody watching for the technical matches, that the few that they had. Okay? Rhythm and Blues Tag Team, I remember that. The people champed on about The Rock, yeah. The Rock has nothing but positive things. It's all the guys that made it have like a lot of good things to say about Bret, Sabu's overrated, ladies and gentlemen. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. Sabu's always out here like doing interviews, like talking all this shit, bro. Oh, Vince, he killed the ECW. Like, bro, ECW was already dead. It was already out of business, brother. Okay? Right? Thinks he's too cool to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, I can't stand these ECW guys. I'm just being honest. Not all of them, but like I just can't stand them, bro. Like they act like their shit don't stink, like they had the best shit ever, but like it never drew money. If it was so great, well, why didn't it ever make money? Taz wasn't that great, brother. Can you come on, Brian? Are you able to come on right now? I like Stone Cold, but Stone Cold wasn't really an ECW guy. He was in ECW doing promos after they fired him from WCW, but yeah, Hogan Flair should have happened at WrestleMania 8. There's no doubt about that, MJ. I'm gonna drop this link. Go ahead, jump on, Brian. Go ahead and jump on, Brian. We need to have this ECW discussion because I'm tired of hearing about how great ECW is and it's the greatest shit of all time. And they would have done this and that. They would have done shit. Okay. I think Sabu's overrated as fuck. I don't care what anybody says. I like RVD. I like him. It was good. Taz was good, but dangerous. And like I'm just keeping it real. Taz was all right. I mean, Taz was okay, but what's going on, brother? What's going on, brother? You're here to defend the honor of ECW. First of all,
man. Well, let me say something first about Bret Hart. He's one of my top 5 favorites all time. Bret is by far probably the most technical wrestler outside of Chris Benoit and Kurt Angle I've seen in wrestling. For these guys to start hating on him, and to be honest with you, his biggest hater that he has is Goldberg. Since Goldberg was the one that ended his career with that super kick, busted his damn head and hasn't said nothing about it or even apologized to the man, since then. Bret Hart, I think he needs to be mentioned more so as one of the top guys in the history of wrestling because the British Bulldog during that time were really big. They were really big back in the day. You know,
They had one of the best matches of all time in Wembley Stadium.
Yeah. You know, I still watch that match. That was one of the most well-worked matches ever, man. Like, and it's just such in contrast compared to how they work matches nowadays. Like everything is spots. Like Undertaker be talking about this all the time. No story being told. Spot. Everybody's flying out the ring. You got 7 foot, 300-pound cats jumping out the ring, trying to do all this athletic stuff, but they're not telling you an actual story in the ring, and that's the issue. You know, like there was like big guys with big guys. Yes, you had Kane and Undertaker doing the acrobatic stuff off the top rope, you know, or jumping off the over the top rope. You know, they were agile for their size. I got you, but everybody's doing that, and I can appreciate those matches with even Ric Flair. Even though I know you said what you said about Ric Flair, but Ric Flair was a guy, man. Like he figure 4 leg lock, you know, his ability to sell, you know.
It was a little hokey, in my opinion. It was a little over the top. But, you know.
It was over the top, but I mean, it'd be funny that this man will take 2 steps before
like, I'll say this. I hate the shop, like the shop on the chest. Because like no one fights like that. Like who like have you ever seen a bar fight and they start chopping each other? Like you know what I mean? Like I always felt like a wrestling match when they brawl should look like a bar fight. You know, like when you see something like that. And when they wrestle, it should be wrestling. You know, and I don't think the chop, but like for Flair it worked. You know, like for some reason it worked with him. I don't think it worked with anybody else. Like I hate it till this day that they do it, but it's whatever.
Well, well see, I'll say this about the chop thing. If you're a big man like the Great Khali, the Big Show, you know, or some giant, then that makes sense. You got the palm the size of my head. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, then I can, you know, but I can understand it. Some of his stuff was over exaggerated, but it was entertaining. You know, but let's deal with this ECW thing.
First of all, let me say this, brother. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I think a lot of ECW, the way people envision it, I think a lot of fans see it as, hey, those are the little guys, you know, trying to make their way, and WCW, WWF were the big guys, and so everybody wanted to pull for the little guy. You know what I mean? And they did do a lot of things that, let's just be honest, Turner and USA were not going to allow WWF and WCW to do on primetime television. You know what I mean? They just weren't going to allow them to do that. So that type of shit was not going to work if they ever wanted to go mainstream. You know what I mean? So I question whether they would have succeeded if they ever became mainstream, is number one. But second, I think they hurt the business. I think it had a negative effect on wrestling till this day, in my opinion.
Well, I'll say this, right? I'm not going to say that you're entirely wrong. I'm gonna be split. I'm gonna be split on it. So I'll deal with the defense of ECW. Back in the late '90s, you know, when I started watching wrestling during the Attitude Era, right? Think about '98, '99. That was a really fun era to watch wrestling. You know, and I think you can definitely agree because you had WWF, WCW, ECW. You had other smaller promotions that were around, like, oh, okay, you know, because professional wrestling was a thing at the time. Even they had the WOW, Women's of Wrestling at that time. You had all these different little promotions going around, and it was fun. ECW was unique because every match was a hardcore match, and it was on Saturday nights, if I remember correctly. Now, ECW, here's my defense, and I'll give you the other side to it, where I do kind of agree with your assessment and Jen Cornette's assessment as well, that, you know, it did kind of hurt the business. It was something unique because every promotion has to have something like TNA. TNA had the 6-sided ring, the X Division. They had different things that were much different than the WWF. You know what I'm saying? There was other things that you have to have certain, like, because this is entertainment. As much as it is wrestling, it's entertainment. So you have to think outside the box. And I thought that ECW did bring that. And I think that it did help for the fact that you can work a match with tables, with kendo sticks, with chains, baseball bats, I guess, ladders. Not to say that WWE didn't do it and WCW didn't do it, but they went to the extreme with it, hence the name. So I think, and they had memorable moments, all right? At least the first wave of ECW. Although Paul Heyman was a piece of shit and didn't pay his wrestlers, definitely, but we do remember Tommy Dreamer, Just Incredible, the Dudley Boys, Rob Van Dam, Taz, Sabu, Sandman.
So I get it, but like, what skill did Sandman possess? I'm just keeping it real. What skill did he possess?
He had the psychology.
I didn't see it.
I mean, he had the psychology of
he was walking out to enter. I could walk out to enter Sandman and make people sing along to it because it's a popular Metallica song. That's number one. Okay. Number two. Okay, he was slamming a freaking. He was a. I mean, he was like a Bush League version of Stone Cold without the skill. You know what I mean? Like he couldn't work a match to say all he did was hit people with kendo sticks, bro. That's all he did.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was a poor man's version of Stone Cold without the actual moveset and wrestling ability and the ability to work a full match. I got you. But
Tommy Dreamer, what made Tommy Dreamer so great?
He was tough as nail.
Yeah, but all wrestlers are tough, brother. Like other than that, what makes them stand out? Let me put it this way. Can you picture Tommy Dreamer headlining WrestleMania? Even if Vince wanted to push him?
I mean,
can you picture him like right there, like next to Bret Hart, WrestleMania 12, or like in the Garden, like headlining? Like, can you really picture? I can't. I have a hard time.
Okay, name me some of the worst guys. Like you named Jinder Mahal. He might be the worst champion they ever had.
Yeah, but the last few years have been atrocious. You know what I mean? I'm just talking about that time, that era. You know what I mean? Like, could Tommy Dreamer like really get over in WCW as a top guy if he got a push? I don't think he would.
I mean, he might get over being a television champion.
That's what I mean. Like, in other words, I just felt like they looked bigger on ECW, like the guys, and then you would put them on WCW or ECW. Yeah. They're like small guys. You know what I mean? Like Taz looked like 6 feet tall on ECW, and then he went to WWF, and it's like, whoa, this is a little dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. So credit to Heyman, he did a great job making these guys look larger than life because that's who he had, right? So that's credit to Heyman. But I just if a guy can't go to another promotion and get over. Like, I'll tell you who was, and that's RV. I think RVD. Okay.
Excellent.
I thought he was a phenomenal talent, but I think he's just stayed out of some stupid loyalty. He stayed on ECW too long. He should have made the move when he was Mr. Monday Night, and he would have been. I could see him headlining WrestleManias. I could see him becoming a big star, but he didn't do it.
He did.
Because he wanted to believe in ECW, bro.
Yeah, but Rob Van Dam, man, let's not take away from him. He was former tag team champion, world tag team champion. I'm saying in the WWE. And of course, we know that this is all scripted, but let's keep it 100. He was an excellent intercontinental champion for the time that he had it. He did win the world championship. Okay. I mean, he did have some accolades in memorable matches. His matches with Kane was memorable. Matches with John Cena was memorable. All right.
William Regal, I think they had great matches.
William Regal. That whole
Jeff Hardy, yeah.
Jeff Hardy. The invasion angle, man. He was amazing in that horrible storyline. But you got guys like him, and you can't look. Taz, are you going to tell me that? Okay, look, and you're right about the size difference of these different wrestlers. all right, in ECW, because they did look hella small compared to the WCW and WWE roster. All right, we understand that. I got you. But Taz, let's keep it 100. And I was looking up an article a couple months ago. Taz, look, they was building him up. I remember him when he came into the WWE, they was building him up. Now, it's suplex machine, a T-bone suplex. That's my favorite suplex ever, outside of the belly to belly suplex. But let me say this though.
Yeah.
The reason why he didn't get pushed is because they were saying that he supposedly wasn't a safe worker. And that's what got him buried in the late 2000s, going into 21 or 2001. Mm. But he was excellent. He was an excellent technician in a suplex machine. Can't take none of that.
Was he really better at suplexes than like a Brock Lesnar or Kurt Angle or Benoit? I don't think he was.
Well, I mean, look, Brock Lesnar, like 2002, 2004, 2003, Brock Lesnar probably was a suplex monster. Kurt Angle from 2000 all the way to 2007. You know, even up to his TNA days was amazing. You know what I'm saying? As a suplex machine. I
like Taz, though. I didn't have a problem with Taz. But,
you know, I mean, the Dudley Boys, greatest tag team, probably.
They got over. They got over, though. You know, they got over in the tag team division.
Yeah, I mean, what is they 16-time champions? They have like over 50 champions in different promotions or something.
They dropped a Southern accent or whatever they were doing.
But, yeah, they did. You know, Bubba Ray Dudley, Devon Dudley, them guys are funny, but you know.
Salute to Big Dog Willie, by the way. Orlando Chavez, all you guys, shout out. Hey, look, here's what I'll say. My issue isn't with the specific talent, like because to me, what Vince saw, you know why Vince was helping Paul Heyman, right? Because he was helping him financially behind the scenes.
Right.
Right. Because he kind of wanted him to, like, you know, build up some, like, he wanted to use them as like a farm system, like you know, kind of like a baseball team does with a AAA team. You know what I mean? And that's what he was doing. Like, he was like, yeah, I want that guy, that RVD guy, bring him over here, you know? But I always felt like the ECW guys thought they were too good to, like, be called up to WWF. Like, no, I'm an ECW guy. And they still act like they did, like, I don't know, I just, it's like a weird anti-elitist attitude that they got, you know?
Right.
And to me, it's like you couldn't make it in the big leagues club.
Okay, let me say this, right? About the ECW during the time when they made the second run in 2000, was it 2006? 2006 when they revived ECW.
That was a great show. I'll give them that one night stand, but it should have stayed a one night stand.
It should have stayed a one night stand, you know. But that second ECW, that shit was that. I'm gonna say this. That was an abomination to me because that wasn't the same ECW. But it did bring forth guys like CM Punk. It did bring forth guys Miz and Morrison, Kofi Kingston, Sheamus.
Well, they were using it as an enhancement talent.
Yeah. Which they did. And, you know, of course, Bobby Lashley was one of those guys in the ECW stable. You know, so they did build those guys up, you know what I'm saying? And of course, it paid dividends because they're the only ones really that make any difference in WWE now because they ain't got no new stars, you know, currently. But I'll say this about the original ECW. Let's go back to the original because I'm gonna go to the pro. I went to the pros and I'm gonna go to the cons, which partially I agree with. ECW, although it was innovative in those hardcore matches, I do agree. Even when Jim Cornette says it, and I've seen you say it I saw you say it last year, and I saw you say it this year, right? Mm-hmm. I understand that. You know, even though it's fun to watch these hardcore matches, it is that lowest common denominator, degenerate matches, you know what I'm saying, where guys are going out, mutilating themselves, blading themselves, which, of course, we know that guys were doing it anyways, but they were going to the extreme. I mean, you have guys like what's his name, New Jack, grabbing the dude and falling 20 feet in the air into some tables. This man done lost one of his eyes now. You know what I'm saying? And, just, using light bulbs and shit, thumbtack nails and shit. The only thing that the WWE you can reference that was even remotely close to that shit was the Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker and Mankind. That was a cold ass match, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, when you think about it, especially that one botch that everybody remembers when Undertaker chokeslammed him and he went through the cage, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Right.
And he fell on top of those damn thumbtacks, and this dude had his teeth and his thumbtacks on.
He hit his mouth on the pole on his way down. Yeah.
Yeah, man, had thumbtacks on his mouth and shit. That shit, okay. When it starts to get that extreme, the New Jack extreme, motherfuckers getting lit on fire.
What about Sabu?
I mean, what about Sabu?
I just don't look. Here's my thing with Sabu, man. Like, was he capable of putting on a great match without throwing himself on ladders or some shit like that, or on tables? Was he capable of it, or is he not capable of it? Because I feel like he was more like a stunt man. He wasn't a professional wrestler. And the reason I talk shit about Sabu is because all he does is talk shit. Like, he's like, if they called me to the Hall of Fame, I'm not gonna go. I'll rather, I'm just like, who the fuck are you, dude? Like WWE needs him. They don't need him, bro.
Okay, let me use this analogy, right?
Yeah.
D style. Let's think of AJ Styles. If AJ Styles were excellent wrestler,
superior to Sabu,
excellent wrestler, one of the best in-ring workers of all time for sure. He's at least in my top 15 in that category, in-ring work.
Look, I have him up there with the Dynamite Kid. I have him up there with Owen Hart. I have him up there. So yeah.
Yeah. So he's right in that discussion, right? Here's the thing, and this is why I understand why Sabu and certain guys were saying that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, the reason why they're saying that is because they're looking at it from this standpoint. Okay, if we don't go into the WWE, but people know who we are, know how talented we are, we might be better than the WWE Hall of Fame. Because guess what? If AJ Styles have never went to the WWE, he would never qualify for the Hall of Fame. But we know good goddamn well in TNA how incredible he was. And he still put on excellent matches coming into the WWE. That's why
he's the best they got right now, for sure.
It's between him and Randy Orton, for sure.
Different style, yeah.
Yeah. But point being, those, what I'm saying, had he not have got up in there, he's not going to be in no WWE Hall of Fame. If Rob Van Dam never would have came into WWE, he's not going to get in the Hall of Fame. You can't, what I'm saying, it's almost like in the MMA atmosphere where the UFC has its own Hall of Fame. MMA doesn't have its regular Hall of Fame.
Well, they have put people in the Hall of Fame that never worked in WWE.
Well, yeah, just like
there were guys from like the Territory era and stuff like that, but
yeah, but they have non-wrestlers up in the Hall of Fame too.
No,
right.
I think they'll put TNA guys once TNA's out of business. Yeah, I do.
Well,
but then, like, to them, because I guess obviously, I mean, I get the point, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then why is Sabu even talking about it? I just think like Sabu always felt like he was too good to be in WWF or WCW, and he's always like talking all this shit like, oh, Vince killed ECW. Like, bro, the only reason a lot of you motherfuckers were getting paid was because of Vince.
Yeah, that's true. Like, because Paul Heyman was not paying them. I don't know how the hell Paul Heyman survived that shit. Not paying motherfuckers.
You know why he would loan wrestlers to Vince, right?
Yes,
because he would be like, well, if you pay him this amount, then he'll come out on Raw like the 30,000 I owe him or some shit. Like you know what I mean? Like,
right.
So he was basically paying the money that, and they still have this hate for Vince, and it's like, bro, here's my thing with ECW. It never made money, which is the whole point of the business, to like make money. It didn't protect the talent. What that's the point of the business. You're supposed to protect each other. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
To have longevity and all that. Like you're not really. It's not a real fight. Like you know what I mean? And it shouldn't. Like you shouldn't be hurting yourself the way these guys were. There's no reason for Taz to have practically a broken neck, going to hospital, being walked into a hospital by one of his wrestling buddies. Like what the fuck is going on over here? You know? And then Mike Awesome, everyone gives the dude the hardest time in the world. Mike Awesome didn't get paid for months.
No, he didn't.
So that's why he left to WCW. He wasn't getting paid.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and blame Vince because Vince, I'm not in that crowd. I'm not saying, I mean, Vince is a piece of shit, but he did pay those guys compared to what Paul Heyman did. Paul Heyman was taking all the proceeds, all that shit, and he was taking that for himself because he's a crooked businessman. That's why AJ Styles don't like his ass because he got the OC brothers fired, the OC fired from the WWE. You know what I'm saying? So we know how, you know what I'm saying, and said that, told AJ Styles he didn't do it, but AJ Styles found out from Vince that he did, you know. So we know what kind of crooked ass dude Paul Heyman is, you know. And not saying that Vince doesn't do dirty business as well, but I'm not saying, no, those guys don't have nothing to complain about, especially hearing what I've heard from Rhino, Tajiri, that they actually got paid and compensated for their services in the WWE. So I'm not gonna say nothing like that. And look, I'll say this. I'll concede this. I think certain guys were developed for the ECW brand of wrestling compared to the actual brand of wrestling that you saw back in the day.
So let me ask you this: what is the ECW brand of wrestling? Because I think I know what you mean, and that's what I'm talking about. That it hurt the business.
Now, are you saying that this is now? Are you saying what they did that killed that hurt the business is still applicable today?
Yes.
Well, okay.
Because you know why? Because bro, here's the deal. Like I remember, like there were just things that were done in ECW for shock value that made no logical sense. Like they would just do it just to do it. So basically, it became like an agreement between the talent and the audience that, hey, just forget the fact that it makes no sense. We're about to give you like a holy shit moment, and we're gonna go through these flaming tables and through these, or whatever it is, off the ladder. And yes, it looks like we're both agreeing to jump there, but we're gonna do it anyway. And I think yes, like I think the audience suddenly expected wrestlers to do these crazy stunts, and it forced wrestlers to become stuntmen along with already being professional wrestlers. Yes, I do believe it hurt the business. That's my opinion.
Yeah. If you're talking about the crazy spots, yeah. I mean, but they ain't never going back to that hardcore extreme ever. All right. Let's take that out of our minds. They're never going back to that kind of hardcore extreme matches. At least not in WWE. Now AEW, they're trying to resurrect that shit with John Moxley and what's his name, Kenny Omega, the match that they had, which that was a dumpster fest. But if I would say some of the things that are unnecessary towards a actual wrestling match, I got you. I hear you to a degree. But the way these guys are today, and from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, a lot of these talents it's really the age of the talent that we see today, which is a microcosm of the type of people and young people that we see today. All right. You know, and you know what I'm saying, that, what is that, what they call it, the millennial age or whatever. I think that has more to do with these guys not wanting to better their craft more so than anything else. I think that these guys want to just do all kinds of crazy spots, but not want to do the basic things that is applicable to their ability, you know?
Well, that's what I mean. Like the psychology. Like I never, honest to God, bro, outside of a few guys, I don't think ECW guys understood psychology. Like it I'll give you some, like Raven and I'm sure there's some others, but that's about it.
RVD. RVD has psychology.
Well, the thing with RVD, like he developed it later. Like, you know, he was kind of doing like jumping moves that made no sense. Like, he got better in WWF, I think. But look, let's put it this way. I know what you're talking about. Like, I watched these clips of guys like, it looks like I don't know. It doesn't look like wrestling to me. Like, they're just like, they jump in the ring, they do double drop kicks, and they roll out of the ring, and then they get up and they do drop kicks, like in sequence now. Like
Yeah.
It's just guys are waiting there until the drop kick lands. Like, it's the whole thing is stupid. All right.
Yeah, the storytelling is shitty. I got you. I got you on that. You know,
I just like there's no psychology in wrestling anymore. But I do believe that started with ECW because there was no psychology with a lot of the crazy shit that we're doing. They're not doing the crazy shit no more, but they're adding it with everything else.
Yeah.
And the problem with no psychology means like here's the problem when I'm watching, like when I try to watch wrestling, bro, I don't have a feeling that, even though we know it's scripted, but I don't have like when I watch a movie, I know there's consequences when there's a fight, right, with a fight scene, right? And I'm watching Avengers, right, when they're trying to take the stones, like when Thanos is fighting for this shit, right?
Right.
Like, we know that if he beats that dude, he takes the stone, he's that much closer. The consequences, he's gonna get this shit, and you don't want him to get all the stones for this shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a story being told, and I think wrestling is missing that. I don't feel like there's consequences for losing. I don't think there's consequences for winning. I don't feel like it matters if you've been jobbing for 5 straight months. There's no chase anymore. There's no development of the talent like that no more. The whole thing is just stupid, bro. Okay? And my last straw, this was me, was when they gave the title to Jinder Mahal. Okay? It's one thing, like, I'm not a fan of the guy as a talent, but at the very least, tell a story. Okay? It needs to make sense why this guy is the champion now. Because he was just jobbing on Raw, and then he goes to SmackDown, he wins, and he gets put in a 5-pack challenge. Why? What did he do to earn that? What, like, aren't you supposed to work your way up to a world championship? Like, you could just get put in a 5-pack challenge, and then he wins it, then he beats Orton. I said, okay, I'm done. It doesn't mean anything anymore to be a champion. Like, it doesn't mean that there's no, like, road to the championship. Like, you know, it makes no sense.
I'm gonna tell you what it is, man. And in ECW, I'm gonna say this: ECW has about 15 to 20% to do with it. All right, I'm gonna tell you what it really is.
Right. And
I remember seeing, you know, and Ryback's a meathead. You know what I'm saying? He said what he said about professional wrestling. So it's fuck Ryback Reeves, but he did say something that really caught my attention. He said something about when he was getting pushed back in the day, and he went to Triple H's office, and he was talking to Triple H or whatever. Triple H said that there is not going to be that John Cena is the last star. And there's not going to be no more marquee stars pushing the WWE. Okay. Whenever you say some shit like that and you're not building towards the future, which what they got in NXT and some of the NXT talent that they got right now, it does look bright to a degree, but it's where the direction is at. And I think that direction that they had back then in the early, I would say going back to 2014 all the way up to now, of not having any marquee stars, that has hurt the business, because wherever the top goes, the bottom's going to follow, right? So all these other promotions is doing the same thing. They're not building towards the future. You do have some young, talented stars, for sure. I got you. But where's the direction? And then at the same time, some of these guys aren't motivated to become better than what they are. or become the full best version of what they are today.
Yeah, but aren't they pushing Reigns right now, though? Isn't he basically the new John Cena?
Well, okay, that's what I'm saying. Roman Reigns. Now, and see this. Okay, Roman Reigns, what he's doing right now is the best thing he's done in his whole career, his whole heel run.
Because they finally turned him heel.
Finally turned him heel. But they should have did that. They should have did that 3 years ago.
Yep.
They should have did it 2-3 years ago. And what I've heard they've done, and this is another thing that's killed the business, is the lack of quality promo outside of the guys from back in the day, from like the 2000s and backwards, that knew how to develop, that knew how to make promos, knew how to cut a good promo. All right. Roman Reigns he has full reign. All right. No pun intended, but he has full reign to say whatever he wants to say because he trusts him. And he got Paul Heyman at his side now. Okay. And Paul Heyman, we know, is as much of a scumbag he is the best manager of all time. He knows how to turn shit into a golden sack bank. Okay. That's how good he is as a manager. And that's exactly what Roman Reigns has done right now. And I would say he's the best thing that's been going for since SummerSlam last year.
They need more organic. They need to be more organic in a way. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, it's definitely too scripted. I haven't watched a full show. I already told you since when. But anytime I try to tune in, like it's just obviously scripted, and people just don't like it, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's the thing, and that's what they have to understand in this new business model. What's hurting is that Vince McMahon doesn't want to relinquish his power towards Triple H, towards Shane, Stephanie, so on and so forth. And that's not a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Because his mind, his understanding of how the business should be adapted in today's time of social media and whatnot, it's not clicking. He might have an inclination of what it is, but he doesn't have it all the way.
Well, here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
Let's most of the things that worked, that became big in WWF, right, were not things that Vince just thought of and the writers all wrote, and it wasn't, right? He wanted Bret Hart to be a cowboy. Okay?
Really?
A cowboy, like with a hat and rancher, cowboy Bret Hart. That's what he wanted, and obviously that was shut down. He wanted. Do you remember how he wanted Stone Cold to be?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember a little bit.
He wanted Stone Cold to be a mute and say nothing, and let Ted DiBiase. I mean, obviously Ted DiBiase was great, but Stone Cold didn't need a manager. The ringmaster. Okay. He wanted a wrestler with a bad neck to be the ringmaster. Okay, but
yeah, I remember that.
Obviously, once Ted DiBiase left to WCW, and Stone Cold was a singles wrestler, like by himself, and he won the King of the Ring, and that 316 promo was all him. That wasn't scripted.
Yeah,
well, that was all him. Bret Hart's little rants after that turned him heel. Those no writer wrote them for him.
That's what I'm saying.
The Sunny Days comment that wasn't scripted by a writer.
Right.
Like, that's just the way it is. When Goldberg looked at the camera and said, "Who's next?" Nobody wrote that for him. Nobody said, "Oh, you're gonna say who's next." Like, no, nobody did. These were organic things that happen, right? And the sink or swim concept, right, works. And I don't know why WWE doesn't just go with it. It's like this. Let them do what they want to go do, Vince. And if the crowd doesn't respond, then you don't push them. But if they respond, you push them. That's the way it should be. But when guys do get over, we live in an age now where if you get over by yourself, you get punished, and they don't push you.
Bro, they did that to Cesaro. All right, yeah. Cesaro's just now getting his push. But they told him to stop spinning cats, right? You know why they told him to stop spinning cats was because he was getting over doing it.
Yeah.
And that's another thing, too.
Rusev.
Who, Bruce?
Rusev was over. I didn't like Rusev. Personally, I wasn't a fan of his, but he was over.
Yeah. he was over. But see, and this is the inside the mindset of that madman Vince. I mean, he is smart in terms of his business accolades, but in terms of understanding how it works today, he just doesn't have it. And I'm gonna say this: they should have never did scripted promos back in the early 2000s. They switched it to 2000 in 2003. I think 2004, 2003 to scripted promo. Mm-hmm. Prior to that, it was all unscripted. So, but that's how you get over them. You know what I'm saying? That's how like someone can actually speak from the heart and it not just be a character, it can actually be them. Everything that Stone Cold said, everything The Rock said, that was all natural. Everything, all those guys, Triple H.
Why do you think the what? You remember the what chant, right? Mm-hmm. What, right? Because they were all talking scripted. They were all talking like this on live television because everything they were saying was scripted because this is how you talk when you have lines that were given to you to memorize by the writers. Like that's how they talk, bro. Like, nobody talk like that. There's no reason. If you go out, a prime Ric Flair goes out there, ain't nobody saying what in the middle of his chant. You know what I mean? Prime Stone Cold's doing a King of the Ring, and they don't know where to fit the what. You know what I mean? Because you're talking, But since they talk like this, and they still do, just watch wrestling on television, and they're talking like this to each other. And then they have moments of awkward silence because maybe somebody didn't play the music on time for somebody to come out. Okay?
Yeah.
Hey, what do you make of that, though? The whole music playing when someone's going to come out. Like, I've always found that weak as fuck. That's my opinion. Like, for example, like X-Pac is getting jumped by whoever, like, you know what I mean, like the Boricuas or whatever. They're jumping X-Pac, they're beating him up, and then break it down, and the Titantron plays, and then Triple H and China run out to go save him. Like, why would the music play? Like think about it for a second. Why does that happen? Do they go tell the sound guy that they're about to walk out before they go save their friend?
I mean, you would save your friend regardless when the music, if the music comes out or not, right? I mean, I do think, but see, that's the overtop silliness of wrestling that I would say that I enjoy. Okay. It doesn't make real world sense, but it's entertaining.
Like when they're gonna. First of all, I don't know what the hell they were gonna do. Like, I guess the Undertaker was gonna sacrifice and rape Stephanie or whatever.
Yeah.
He was gonna like force him. He kept talking about it. We're gonna consummate this marriage, and she's screaming, "No!" Like, bro, you're threatening to rape her, bro. But anyway,
yeah.
Stone Cold's music plays and he runs out to save her. Like, I still think the crowd would react if they just saw Stone Cold. It would be like an organic, like, oh, here he comes, oh shit. That when he's in the ring, they're gonna react.
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like that's like I don't know, like it's just weak, the music.
I mean, it's over. I would say it's over the top, it's more over the top, but it's supposed to be silly, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, the exaggerated, someone selling the plate.
Hey, by the way, there's a way you're supposed to work a punch in wrestling, okay? There's a way to do it.
Yeah.
It's like it's okay. People know it's not real, but there's a way where it looks okay. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hate it when this like Undertaker was doing it for a while, bro. Shane was horrible. John Cena, like
throwing those
they were trying to mimic real punches.
Yeah.
And you can't mimic real punches. You either land a real punch or you don't. Right? When somebody shadow boxes, there's an imaginary figure right here and you're punching through it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? You can't do that. You're gonna look like this. Like it looks weird. Like you know what I mean? Like don't do it. Do
Yeah.
a work. Even Lesnar throws a work punch. He doesn't throw the way he threw him in MMA. He throws a work punch. Like it looks stupid to throw it the way boxers do because it only looks good the way boxers do it if you're actually going to hit somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can't fake rotating your hips or putting your right foot down while you're pivoting your left foot for a left hook. You can't
like it's usually the guys that took some MMA classes or something or boxing classes, and then they want to do it like in the ring, and it's like, okay, bro, maybe you learn how to shadow box or something, but that's not how you do it. Like it's not gonna look good, you know, because it's gonna like we already know you're not landing it, but at least just do the foot stomp, please, you know.
Same
like, bro, Shane, it was horrible, brother. Like it's like maybe the argument, maybe we get some mitts, maybe Shane does look good hitting the mitts. Who knows, right? But you got to actually hit something like for real to throw a real punch, you know. Yeah. So unless someone's agreeing for you to hit them, okay. But another thing I think that hurt wrestling, this is my opinion. That has nothing to do with ECW or nothing like that. Just in general. Bro, when did they start calling wrestling matches fights? Oh, it's going to be a fight. I challenge you to fight. No, it's supposed to be wrestling. And I'll explain why that hurt wrestling as well. I'll explain in a moment, but have you noticed that? They call it a fight?
Yeah.
Match.
I've noticed it. I noticed that
they used to call it matches, not fights. Okay?
But isn't it a mimic of a real fight, though?
No.
I mean, even
I guess now it is, but technically speaking, bro, the punch is illegal in wrestling. The ref warns the guy, hey, like, don't use your fist. Like, you know what I mean? They would have the heel strike because it was cheating to get heat from the crowd. You know what I mean? So they've lost that dynamic. Like, I remember, like, that's a line that would be used in wrestling. Like a boxer would be a special guest and be in the ring and no, this isn't this isn't fighting, this is wrestling. Like this is in your world, like, you know what I mean? Because what you're doing, you're pinning dudes. It's wrestling, bro. You know what I mean? And not only that, you save the fight for the no holds barred fights. So now they're allowed to punch and you could sell it that way. You know what I mean? Or you're allowed to do that when, like, you see, the way it used to work back in the day, like in the Bruno era, right?
Yeah, the golden era.
Yeah, like whenever, like, you know what they would do, like what the last match of the feud would be? They would put the two guys in a steel cage with no referee. And the first guy to get, like, beat up the guy so bad and walk out of that cage was the winner. That's where the concept of leaving the cage came from. You know what I mean? But it later became whoever escapes the cage first or whatever. But
and you know what I noticed about that cage match nowadays as well, to go along with what you're saying, they got the referee in there, and now you can pin a guy in the cage.
Then why even do the cage? It's like, what's the point? It's supposed to be like, I remember I saw an interview of Bruno saying this, and it makes a lot of sense. You know, he said like I don't know if it would work today because like you have UFC in a cage. You know what I mean? But back in the day, like, it was a steel cage, and that was that's when they would blade, because that's when they wanted to sell. Like if you slammed them against the steel, like, they would bleed, and those would get people would show up in the stadiums for those, you know. and the whole concept was like, there's no ref. So now they could punch and they could throw knees at each other because there's no ref to stop you. And then you get whoever gets out of that cage walks, like, you would beat them up so bad that it was done. You would walk out of the cage, and then that made you the winner. You know what I mean? There was no like climbing over the cage and whoever can make it out first, or because that to me seems like a cop out. Like just think about it. There's no reason why some like acrobatic guy wouldn't win every cage match. They would just climb the cage right away and leave. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know, you still have to implement the wrestling in it, but they kind of, 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 it shouldn't be a fight, bro. And here's the other thing. There's already real MMA, so why are you selling fake MMA to people? Like, it doesn't make sense. Make it stick out in a different way. You know what I mean?
Well, okay. Well, let's use this logic,
Yeah.
right? They were, back in the day, they would have boxing matches like the butterbean matches before the actual pay-per-view. They used to do that. You know, so I'm not against. I mean, because they're going to capitalize on whatever gimmick sells. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not against that aspect. I understand where you're coming from the standpoint of make things logical. You know what I'm saying? In a match, a fight. I mean, look, back in the day, if it was if somebody was punching somebody and that was illegal, then it is what it is. Today, but what increases the more dynamic of a match is, the high flying moves, the dirty moves, striking. And,
I just hated how, like, look, I love the Taker HBK matches. Okay, so don't get me wrong. But Taker will come out like if he's an MMA guy, like, and I'm like, what are you doing, bro? Like, that just doesn't look good in wrestling, in my opinion.
Yeah, okay? You're supposed to be wrestling stance, not a boxer stance.
Yeah. I'm like, well, what are you doing? And they were doing, oh, he's the best striker. And like I'm like, when did this become legal and why? Like, and because think about it, bro. Like you want to sell that to people when it matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you want to, hey, the ref's down, and guess what? Now I'm going to punch you in the face. Like, there should be something to sell. They don't have anything to sell, But hey, man, we'll go ahead and catch it. I'm gonna do more wrestling videos at random and shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go watch these fights and stuff. They're already on, as you can see.
When is that? When is that Andy Ruiz and Areola fight?
That is tonight. Okay.
Right.
And right now, Jonas is about to fight Katie Taylor. I'm gonna watch that shit. As you can see, that's what everybody's watching right now. So, Basti Dalla says, "Or Brock Lesnar wear MMA gloves." That was cringe. Like, yeah, like, why are you wearing gloves? But everyone else has like bare fists. Like, come on, dude! Like, it was just like we have to have a more conversation about that, because I just feel like that fucked up the industry. Because why would anyone watch a fake fight if they could just watch the real shit? Just watch UFC.
True.
Like, there's no need to watch guys fake MMA when they could just watch the real deal. Like it's like logically, right? Like, you're taking away what made wrestling.
Yeah. No, I get you on that standpoint, but
and then, like, I remember choking somebody was illegal, and now they're choking each other out and they're tapping out, and like, what the hell, dude? I don't know.
I mean, just more,
because that way, if a Cain Velasquez wants to come work, right, you can have a storyline with one of the wrestlers telling him, "Hey, Cain, like, you can't strike here. You can't kick me in the head. You can't do any of that. We're just gonna wrestle, okay? And you can't do your chokeholds on me. Like, you're gonna have to out wrestle me. Like, that should be a thing, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, but they kind of fucked up their own little quote unquote universe.
Yeah, I think what it all boils down to, they wanted to add more dynamics and dimensions to the actual match itself, and I think that's why.
Well, the thing is that they could have. You could still do that, but you gotta be like, in other words, don't give away the farm in like regular matches on Raw. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, when the feud gets more personal, then you're like, you know what? It's gonna be a no holds barred match. So now they can punch you, and now they're gonna fight. Like, oh, we've had a match. Just like, I could cut a promo right now. Like, I'll be like, well, you have Cactus Jack, so that's what I'll call you. You know what I mean? Cactus Jack! Let me tell you something. We've had 3 matches, and every time you weasel your way out. But you know what? Now I want you in a fight. We're going to get in the cage, and I swear to God, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. You know what I mean? Like, oh, obviously, I couldn't use that language now, but you know what I mean? Like now it would mean something like, oh, no, now they're going to get, now, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They got to be able to, like, it's the business kind of fucked itself over, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Plus, this doesn't look good. Like, Like I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
I hear you on that. I hear you on that standpoint. You know,
Yeah. But oh well. And I still feel that brawls in wrestling should look like a bar brawl. Like it should look kind of ugly and kind of like a brawl. Like, you know what I mean? Like they should just be swinging punches at each other. Like I think that looks better in a work than trying to look like it's a real MMA fight. You know what I mean? It's my opinion.
I understand.
But, all right, brother. I'm gonna watch this match, brother.
All right, man.
Peace out, guys.